Gamedec by Anshar Studios is an isometric, non-combat cyberpunk RPG where you play as a game detective to solve crimes in both the real and virtual worlds through investigation and deduction. Thanks to high-tech VR setups, you are catapulted into multiple realities, each with their own locations and distinctive characters. Gamedec focuses on outcomes that vastly differ from one another based on the choices you make. It is set in Warsaw in the 22nd century. If you're interested in more content, then Nancy and I recently launched our Content Critters website at content-critters.com. This features more RPG news and text versions of our Baldur's Gate 3 lore and guide videos. Consider also subscribing to this channel and hitting the bell to receive notifications when new videos go live. Without further ado, let's begin. Last August 3, Anshar Studios released the first pre-alpha build demo to its backers. On Twitter, they even gave away keys to those who missed the Kickstarter campaign, which concluded on April 28 of this year. The premise is simple. You play as the titular Gamedec. Your job is to investigate the disappearance of corporate boss Jeffrey Haggis's son, Fredo. He has been stuck in the virtual world for many days now. With no time to waste, you immediately choose from 4 professions presented by the developers. Sleeves are thugs who usually succeed in using brute force to get what they want. They often win fights. Their strength and tenacity accord them with respect and fear. Infotainers are popular kids who are liked by almost everyone. They know how to charm their way in front of the camera and the media. Glaziers are hackers who enjoy good old technology-related puzzles, whether it's searching for secret codes or power cables to find other ways of getting into programs or buildings. Scalpels are paramedics or medical marvels adept at saving lives. They are used to dealing with life-threatening conditions, performing CPR and operations as needed. Each of these professions branch out into different aspects depending on your attitude, as denoted by colors. So for example, you unlock the factual attitude under the color blue. Only 2 more blue points are needed to unlock either the programmer or machine operator specialization under the glazier branch. This becomes additive so that later on, you can unlock more specializations that go with your chosen profession. The gameplay of Gamedec is heavily focused on making choices and unlocking consequent options. There's the Codex, where all of the information about people, places, and objects are stored, kind of like a mini computer that you can access anywhere. There's also Deduction, which is a series of branches that you discover based on the dialogue you decide to go with. One example in the demo is gaining Timmy'S trust. If you befriend him, he decides to share the true virtual world where Fredo can be found. What's interesting is showing players the number of options that can be unlocked under a singular thought or deduction. With this, you see 3 possible places or leads to begin the investigation. It's also important to remember that accepting a path prevents you from trying out other options, so you have to be careful with your choices. Furthermore, deduction also shows that your choices in the game shape the type of specialized detective you become, as it is tied to the attitude points you acquire along the way. So what works in the demo? For the pre-alpha build, we are impressed by how detailed and varied the choices and outcomes are, even if we only get to explore the twisted and perverted world. Most of the characters have their own intriguing backstories, such as belonging to cults and gangs. Some even have side missions, such as Bob Zappa, who is looking for his missing wife. The demo requires at least 3 playthroughs to unlock most of the dialogue branches. There are also more ways to approach and solve objectives, so you will not be punished because of your chosen profession. In addition, Gamedec's visuals are stunning. The real world is well lit, which presents itself as an ideal place of peace, although let's be real here, there's no peace in this cyberpunk city. In contrast, the twisted and perverted world is dark and grim, representing an ominous take of how horrific the virtual world can be. So what can be improved upon? There are a few bugs in the demo, some of which included optimization issues with frame rate dips in a few places, grammatical errors, and out-of-place HTML tags for italics. It's also possible to get stuck in between the NPCs, so be careful with where you position your character. One specific example was when we stood in between Horny, Mr. Unicorn, and Ken Zoo. We also encountered instances where we had to replay the entire twisted and perverted segment. A manual save or even more frequent autosaves would have saved us a lot of frustration. There was also a distinct lack of music and ambient effects all throughout the demo. This dampened each scene's mood. It felt weird that the only sounds you could hear were little clicks when you selected the next dialogue option. Of course, these can be corrected and polished in the future. As for the future of Gamedec, a couple of features can be implemented to improve the game. First is having an overlay every time you use a computer or console. This adds to immersion and allows the player to sift through files without fully relying on the dialogue window. Second is having dialogue options presented as full sentences rather than summaries or single words. Since knowledge is paramount, it will be better to know your full message before you say it. Personally, we are very excited to see how development progresses. You can add Gamedec to your wish list on Steam or GOG. If you've played the demo, what do you think about the game's detective elements? Let us know in the comments section below. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll be back again this week for more Baldur's Gate 3 videos.